Screen Profits is back to exclusively cover blockbuster movies from the last 10 years. Let's get started on the box office analysis, movie budgets, and the final numbers that determine profitability. Welcome to Screen Profits, your definitive source for the financial analysis of modern blockbuster films. Today, we're climbing into the cockpit of one of the most surprising and financially successful cinematic triumphs in recent history, 2022's Top Gun, Maverick. Before we begin our movie breakdown, we have to address the number one question we get for everyone asking where to watch Top Gun. Maverick, the film is currently available to stream on Paramount Plus and is also available for purchase or rent on all major digital platforms. Now that you know where to watch this movie, let's dive into the full analysis of how this blockbuster movie soared to such incredible heights. This isn't just a movie review. It's a deep dive into the numbers behind the nostalgia. Many viewers are looking for a full movie explained from a narrative perspective, but we're here to explain the full financial story, which is just as thrilling as the dogfights. The journey of Top Gun, Maverick to the big screen was a masterclass in patience and strategic timing. The film, directed by the visionary Joseph Kosinski and distributed by Paramount Pictures, wasn't just another legacy sequel. It was positioned as a cinematic event. Originally slated for a 2019 release, the film faced a series of delays, first for perfecting the incredibly complex aerial sequences, and then due to the global pandemic. This extended wait, however, paradoxically built an unprecedented level of anticipation. The official trailer, with its stunning practical effects and a poignant glimpse of Val Kilmer's return, promised audiences a potent mix of high-G adrenaline and deep-seated emotion. When it finally hit theaters on May 27, 2022, it roared onto a scene dominated by superhero franchises, facing down heavyweight competitors like Marvel's Doctor Strange in the multiverse of madness and Universal's Jurassic World Dominion. The plot summary is elegantly simple yet emotionally resonant. Over 3 decades after the original film, Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell, played by the seemingly ageless lead actor Tom Cruise, is a decorated test pilot who has skillfully dodged promotions that would ground him. His past comes back to haunt him when he's ordered back to the elite TOPGUN Academy. His mission? To train a new generation of the Navy's best pilots for a mission so dangerous it's considered suicidal. Complicating matters is the inclusion of Rooster, the son of his late friend Goose, forcing Maverick to confront the ghosts of his past. This simple premise is what makes it one of the great rewatchable movies of the modern era. The genre is a perfect blend of high-octane action and sincere character drama, a combination that has made so many of Tom Cruise's films, like The Mission, Impossible series, such massive box office hits. Joseph Kosinski, the director, was a perfect choice, having previously worked with Cruise on the visually stunning sci-fi film Oblivion, and proven his knack for blending sleek visuals with compelling stories in films like Tron Legacy. This film's success is a key part of our ongoing box office breakdown and production budget analysis for trending movies. For movie lovers everywhere, Top Gun. Maverick felt like a return to a classic form of blockbuster filmmaking, a true fan favorite movie that proved practical effects and a powerful story could still captivate a global audience. But the real story, the one we analyze here at Screen Profits, isn't just about the on-screen action. It's about the high-stakes financial mission that happened behind the camera. This brings us to the core of our movie breakdown, the production budget and the financial strategy that turned a risky legacy sequel into one of the most profitable films of all time. Paramount Pictures and its production partner Skydance Media placed a monumental $170 million bet on this 36-year-old IP. To put that figure in context, it's significantly higher than the original 1986 film's inflation-adjusted budget and places it firmly in the upper echelon of non-superhero action films. This massive production budget represents the core studio investment, a number that necessitated a complex financing structure. This wasn't just Paramount's money on the line. It was a co-production, a common strategy in modern Hollywood to mitigate risk. Think of it like 2 investment firms pooling their capital to fund a high-risk, high-reward startup. This structure is crucial because it directly impacts the equity stake valuation for each party. Both Paramount and Skydance held significant equity, meaning their potential profits or losses were directly tied to the film's performance. With a $170 million price tag, before marketing costs were even considered, the financial risk was immense, especially given the theatrical market's uncertainty in 2022. The studio's monetization strategy was daringly traditional, a primary focus on the theatrical window. In an era where studios were shortening theatrical runs or releasing films simultaneously on streaming, Tom Cruise and Paramount held firm, betting that the spectacle of Top Gun Maverick was a theaters-only experience. This decision placed enormous pressure on the film's global gross forecast. Initial industry projections were strong, perhaps in the 400–500 million range worldwide, which would have represented a solid success. However, no financial model could have predicted the film's astronomical run, which ultimately soared past $1.4 billion globally. This stunning overperformance had a profound impact on the ROI, return on investment, turning a solid bet into a lottery win. The film's incredible box office performance dramatically inflated the equity stake valuation for both Paramount and Skydance, delivering a windfall that bolstered their balance sheets for years to come. These incredible profitability metrics reaffirmed the power of the theatrical experience and demonstrated that, with the right product, audiences would still show up in droves. Every dollar earned above the initial break-even point exponentially increased the return, making the final global gross forecast a testament to a perfectly executed, albeit high-risk, financial and creative strategy. That massive investment and its incredible return hinged on one crucial element: the human factor. The cast of Top Gun Maverick wasn't just a collection of actors. It was a carefully assembled team designed to bridge a 36-year gap, balancing legacy with fresh talent. This brings us to the next phase of our movie breakdown: the characters, the stars who played them, and the behind-the-scenes stories that shaped their performances. At the heart of the film, of course, is Tom Cruise, reprising his role as Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell. A full character explained analysis of Maverick shows a man who is both the same daredevil pilot we met in 1986 and a figure haunted by the passage of time. He's a living relic, an archetype of the reluctant master who is forced to teach a new generation while grappling with his own obsolescence and past traumas. The actor filmography of Tom Cruise is a testament to his enduring star power. From the Mission Impossible franchise to dramatic turns in films like Jerry Maguire and A Few Good Men, his career is one of the most successful in Hollywood history. His return to this role wasn't just a paycheck. It was a passion project. Behind the scenes, reports are filled with stories of Cruise's intense involvement, from designing the rigorous flight training program for the young cast to his meticulous oversight of the aerial cinematography. For movie lovers, this dedication is what separates his work from other top-rated movies, making his performances a fan-favorite performance time and again. But a legacy sequel cannot survive on its original star alone. The most critical piece of casting news for Top Gun Maverick was who would play Bradley Rooster Bradshaw, the son of Maverick's fallen wingman, Goose. The role went to Miles Teller, an actor known for his intense performances in films like Whiplash and Only the Brave. Teller had to embody the emotional core of the film, a young man living in the shadow of his father's death and under the watchful, guilt-ridden eye of Maverick. The on-screen tension between Cruise and Teller is the dramatic engine of the entire movie, a conflict rooted in history and unspoken grief. Digging into the behind-the-scenes casting process, it's a fascinating piece of movie trivia that actors Nicholas Hoult and Glenn Powell were the other two finalists for the role of Rooster. The filmmakers were so impressed with Glenn Powell's audition, however, that they created the character of the arrogant but highly skilled pilot, Hangman, specifically for him, a decision that paid off brilliantly, creating a perfect modern-day rival for the film's heroes. The supporting cast is equally stellar. Jennifer Connelly steps in as Penny Benjamin, a character mentioned by name in the original film but never seen. She represents Maverick's chance at a grounded, stable life, and her chemistry with Cruise feels authentic and earned. Connelly, an Oscar winner with a long and respected actor filmography, brings a necessary weight and maturity to the role. John Hamm plays Vice Admiral Cyclone, the modern military bureaucrat and a perfect foil to Maverick's rebellious spirit. But for many fans of the classic movie, the most powerful performance comes from Val Kilmer, who returns as Admiral Tom Iceman Kazansky. Given Kilmer's real-life battle with throat cancer, his scene with Cruise is the emotional high point of the film, a poignant and beautifully handled reunion that provides a crucial narrative turning point. It's a moment that elevates Top Gun, Maverick from a simple action film to one of the most rewatchable movies of the decade, a true modern classic. The combined talent of this ensemble is what made the film more than just a sequel. It made it an emotional and compelling story that resonated with audiences worldwide, cementing its place in our comprehensive movie breakdown. In our standard analysis, we'd move from the cast to the marketing campaign. But for Top Gun, Maverick, to do so would be to ignore the single most important and financially radical decision of the entire production. The choice to prioritize high-risk, high-cost practical effects over cheaper, safer CGI. This wasn't just a creative choice. It was a core business strategy that fundamentally altered the film's risk-return ratio. So, before we look at the trailers and TV spots, we need to perform a financial autopsy on the Maverick method itself, the unprecedented technological and logistical undertaking that became the film's greatest asset and its biggest gamble. This is a deep dive into the brutal realities of capital allocation efficiency when your capital is strapped to a real F/A-18 Super Hornet. The core of this strategy began with the production budget. Of the estimated $170 million budget, a significant and undisclosed portion was allocated not to visual effects houses, but to a partnership with the U.S. Navy and to the development of groundbreaking new camera technology. This represents a monumental shift in production spending. A typical blockbuster would allocate a massive chunk of its budget to post-production, paying thousands of artists to generate CGI fighter jets. The Maverick method front-loaded that cost into the production phase. Think of it this way. Instead of paying for digital artists, they were paying for jet fuel, aircraft carrier rental time, and some of the most expensive insurance policies in Hollywood history. This had a direct impact on the operating costs of the film shoot. A day of CGI work has a predictable cost. A day of filming real fighter jets has an almost unlimited number of expensive variables. Weather, mechanical issues, and the immense safety logistics. The financial risk was astronomical. To even make this possible, the production had to essentially invent new technology. This is where the technology licensing costs and R&D came into play. The team, led by director Joseph Kosinski, worked with Sony to develop the Venice camera system, a series of 6 IMAX-quality cameras that could be mounted inside the cockpit of a real F/A-18, capturing the actors' real performances under real G-forces. This was a massive upfront investment. The development, testing, and certification of this new hardware was a multi-million-dollar gamble before a single frame of the movie was even shot. This is a level of production efficiency that is almost unheard of. Instead of fixing it in post, they spent millions to get it in camera. This decision is the cornerstone of the film's entire ROI versus visual complexity analysis. The visual complexity was real, not rendered, and the cost was immense. Let's talk about the post-production burn rate. While the film still has over 2,400 visual effects shots, the vast majority are invisible effects, wire removal, cockpit cleanup, and compositing real shots together. The heavy lifting, the creation of the jets, and the physics of their flight was already done. This is the opposite of a film like Avengers Endgame, where the CGI cost per minute for a major battle scene can run into the millions. For Maverick, the most expensive minutes were captured live. This fundamentally alters the financial model. The studio was betting that the authenticity captured in camera would give them a more powerful marketing tool and a more valuable final product than a purely digital creation. It was a bet that the ROI uplift from critical acclaim for its realism would far outweigh the enormous production costs. The investor insights leading up to the film would have highlighted this as the single biggest point of concern and potential. This practical-first approach had a direct impact on the compensation packages for the cast. The actors, including Miles Teller and Glenn Powell, had to undergo a grueling, multi-month flight training program designed by Tom Cruise himself. This wasn't just acting. It was a massive physical and logistical undertaking. While their upfront salaries were significant, the cost of this training, the insurance, and the on-set support represented a huge additional investment in the talent line item of the budget. The casting risk was not just about their performance, but about their physical ability to withstand the rigors of real aerial combat maneuvers. This is a level of commitment that goes far beyond a standard green screen performance and it's a key part of the film's unique value proposition. The studio wasn't just paying them to act, they were paying them to be temporary aviators, and the budget allocation had to reflect that unprecedented reality. The financial ripple effects of this method are enormous. Every single dollar spent on practical aviation stunts, instead of CGI, was a dollar that appeared directly on screen in the marketing. This created a level of advertising spend efficiency that is almost impossible to quantify. The marketing team's job became incredibly easy. Just show the footage. The famous behind-the-scenes featurettes, showing the actors struggling with G-forces, were not just bonus content. They were the most powerful marketing tool the studio had. This is a direct example of production spending becoming marketing ROI. The money spent on the real jets generated billions of impressions through trailers and featurettes, creating a level of global hype that no CGI-driven campaign could have matched. It created a powerful narrative. This is a real movie in a sea of fake ones. This strategy also had a significant impact on the film's long-term profitability and IP lifecycle value. A film made with cutting-edge CGI from 2022 can look dated by 2030. But a film made with stunning, real-world practical effects and cinematography has a timeless quality. The aerial footage in Top Gun. Maverick will look just as breathtaking in 20 years as it does today. This future-proofing of the visuals means the film will have a much longer and more profitable life on streaming, VOD, and future formats. It increases the asset's lifetime value, LTV. When a streaming service is deciding how much to pay for the licensing rights, a film with timeless, real-world action sequences commands a prestige pricing premium. This is a key part of the cumulative yield analysis for the film. The initial high cost of practical effects is an investment that will pay dividends for decades. In conclusion, the Maverick method was a terrifyingly high-risk, high-reward business strategy that represents a complete inversion of the modern blockbuster formula. Instead of relying on a massive post-production burn rate and digital artistry, the production front-loaded its financial risk into the live-action shoot, investing in new technology, unprecedented logistics, and extreme actor training. This bet on authenticity provided a massive ROI versus visual complexity, not by being cheaper, but by creating a product of such undeniable quality that it became a global cultural event. The capital allocation efficiency of this strategy was proven not in its cost savings, but in its market impact. Every dollar spent on jet fuel was a dollar that built the film's brand, drove its marketing, and cemented its legacy. It's a powerful lesson in production efficiency, proving that in a world of digital copies, the highest profit margins can sometimes be found in creating something undeniably real. Now, let's pivot from the on-screen talent to the off-screen balance sheet. Assembling a cast of this caliber, headlined by one of the biggest movie stars on the planet, presents a monumental financial challenge. The cost allocation for talent can often be the single largest line item in a production budget, and for Top Gun, Maverick, managing this was a masterclass in modern deal-making. The key financial mechanism that made this film possible is a concept known as back-end participation. Let's break that down. Instead of paying an actor their massive, standard upfront salary for a star like Tom Cruise, that could be in the $20 million range, the studio offers a smaller upfront fee in exchange for a percentage of the film's profits. It's an analogy for corporate compensation. Think of it as taking less in salary in exchange for a significant equity stake in the company. If the company, or in this case, the movie, is a hit, the payout can be astronomical. This is precisely the structure that was reportedly used for Tom Cruise. While his initial actor salary was an estimated $13 million, his deal included significant back-end participation, giving him a cut of what's called first dollar gross, a rare and incredibly lucrative arrangement, where he earns a percentage of the box office revenue before the studio even recoups its costs. This strategic approach to compensation packages had two massive benefits for the studio. First, it dramatically lowered the upfront casting risk. By reducing the fixed salary costs, Paramount and Skydance were able to allocate more of the $170 million production budget to the film's incredible practical effects and complex production needs. It de-risked the initial investment. Second, and more importantly, it perfectly aligned the star's financial interests with the studio's. Cruise wasn't just an employee, he was a partner. His incentive was to make the film as successful as humanly possible. which explains his relentless promotion and his famous insistence on a long, exclusive theatrical run. This strategy resulted in one of the most incredible examples of star power ROI in cinematic history. As the box office numbers climbed past $1 billion, Cruise's back-end participation deal reportedly netted him over $100 million, a staggering figure that nevertheless represented an incredible return for the studio. His involvement didn't just sell tickets. It guaranteed the film's theatrical-first strategy, which was the cornerstone of its ultimate profitability analysis. This sophisticated use of back-end participation wasn't just a contract negotiation. It was the financial jet fuel that allowed Top Gun, Maverick to achieve its record-breaking flight. That superstar cast, led by a Tom Cruise who was both a producer and a partner in the film's success, was the payload. But a payload is useless without a powerful rocket to get it into orbit. The marketing and distribution of Top Gun, Maverick was one of the most masterful and patient campaigns in modern cinema, a textbook case of building and sustaining hype over an unprecedentedly long runway. The official trailer for Top Gun, Maverick, dropping with teaser release moments that sparked massive fan buzz, set the stage for a premiere event rivaling any competitor's press tour excitement, while the social media campaign built theatrical release hype across the globe. The initial teaser release, launched by Tom Cruise himself as a surprise at San Diego Comic-Con in July 2019, was the opening salvo. It didn't reveal much plot, it sold a feeling. The roar of the F-18 engines, the iconic theme music, and the sight of Maverick back in his flight jacket generated millions of views and an immediate wave of nostalgic trailer hype. This was nearly 3 years before the film's actual release, a testament to the long-term strategy at play. When the full movie trailer finally dropped in the months leading up to the May 2022 release, it brilliantly showcased the film's biggest selling point: jaw-dropping, real-world aerial combat. Unlike competitors who relied heavily on CGI, Paramount's marketing hammered home the message that the actors were really in the jets. This authentic, visceral promise was the core of the entire campaign and a key part of our ongoing box office breakdown. The delays caused by the pandemic, while frustrating, were turned into a strategic advantage. Instead of dumping the film onto streaming, Paramount and Cruise held the line, reinforcing the idea that Top Gun, Maverick was a cinematic experience that had to be seen on the biggest screen possible. This built enormous pent-up demand. The marketing blitz in the final stretch was relentless and perfectly targeted. High-impact TV spots aired during major sporting events, targeting the film's core demographic. The press tour was a global victory lap. The film's premiere event at the Cannes Film Festival was a masterstroke of publicity, featuring a flyover by French fighter jets that created headlines worldwide. Tom Cruise's tireless globetrotting, from Cannes to London to Tokyo, ensured the film dominated entertainment news cycles, generating a level of earned media that money can't buy. The social media campaign amplified these events with behind-the-scenes clips of the actors' grueling flight training, creating viral content that had incredible reach. All of this culminated in the film's worldwide release, a perfectly orchestrated global event. The strategy paid off in spades, with record-breaking opening weekends across the globe. Even after its historic theatrical run, the carefully timed streaming debut on Paramount Plus saw a massive surge in subscriptions, proving that the theatrical success had created a must-see event for at-home viewers as well. This full life cycle, from the initial teaser to the streaming release, is a crucial part of how we approach a full movie explained analysis from a business perspective. The marketing didn't just sell a movie. It sold an unmissable cultural event. Now, let's talk about the cost of creating that cultural event. Launching a film of this magnitude requires a financial commitment that can rival the production budget itself. This brings us to the crucial concept of the P&A budget, which stands for prints and advertising. If the production budget is what it costs to build the car, the P&A budget is the cost of the fuel, the global advertising campaign, and the logistics to get it into every dealership or theater in the world. For a tentpole film like Top Gun, Maverick, the worldwide P&A budget is estimated to have been in the range of $150 to $200 million. This colossal figure covers all media buying costs, from multi-million-dollar Super Bowl ads to the constant barrage of digital ads on YouTube and social media. This massive spend is the risk side of the equation. The reward is determined by the marketing spend ROI, return on investment. To understand this, we first need to look at the theatrical revenue split. When you buy a movie ticket, that money doesn't go straight to the studio. On average, the studio and the theater owner split the revenue, with the studio's share being around 50-55% for domestic releases. That percentage is often lower for international sales, closer to 40%, after local distributors take their cut. So, from the film's staggering $1.49 billion global gross, Paramount's take-home revenue, after these splits and accounting for distribution fees, is estimated to be around $650-700 million. With that in mind, we can calculate the film's incredible marketing spend ROI. Key stat: assuming a global P&A budget of $175 million, that marketing investment generated approximately $675 million in direct theatrical rental revenue for the studio. This yields a stunning marketing spend ROI of nearly 3.9x, an almost unprecedented figure for a film without superheroes. Every dollar Paramount spent on marketing generated almost $4 back in theatrical profit participation alone. This phenomenal return vindicated their decision to delay the release and invest heavily in a traditional, theater-focused campaign. The theatrical ROI for Top Gun: Maverick dwarfed what would have been possible with a PVOD, premium video on demand, or hybrid streaming release. The campaign's success also had a massive halo effect on the eventual streaming licensing deals, making the film an incredibly valuable asset for Paramount Plus and further boosting the overall marketing spend ROI long after its theatrical run had ended. This wasn't just a successful marketing campaign, it was one of the most profitable advertising ventures in entertainment history. That incredibly successful marketing campaign didn't operate in a vacuum. It was a precision-guided weapon deployed into one of the most competitive blockbuster seasons in recent memory. To truly understand the scale of Top Gun: Maverick's victory, we have to analyze the cinematic battlefield it entered, looking at its rivals, its peers, and the similar movies that audiences already loved. Fans of Mission Impossible Fallout's genre-defining practical stunts and Jurassic World Dominion's heart-pounding action will find Top Gun: Maverick bridges both worlds, delivering blockbuster storytelling moments that rival franchise-level hits now streaming on Netflix, HBO Max, or Disney+. When we compare with other films, the most direct parallel in terms of both star power and a commitment to in-camera action is, without a doubt, the Mission Impossible series, specifically 2018's Fallout. Both are Tom Cruise vehicles, and both push the boundaries of what's possible with practical filmmaking. However, where Fallout is a globetrotting spy thriller built on intricate plot mechanics, Top Gun: Maverick is a more focused, character-driven military drama. The action in M.I. is diverse motorcycle chases, helicopter battles, rooftop sprints, while Maverick dedicates itself to perfecting one thing: the visceral, breathtaking reality of being in the cockpit of a fighter jet. This focused approach is a key part of its movie breakdown and what makes it one of the top films in its genre. However, the film's direct box office competition in the summer of 2022 was not another grounded action film, but two CGI-driven behemoths: Marvel's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and Universal's Jurassic World Dominion. These were the undisputed genre rivals for audience attention and dollars. Doctor Strange 2 offered psychedelic, reality-bending visuals and deep ties to the sprawling Marvel Cinematic Universe. Jurassic World Dominion promised the epic conclusion to a beloved franchise, bringing back legacy characters and, of course, dinosaurs. In this franchise comparison, Top Gun: Maverick was the underdog. It wasn't part of an interconnected universe and relied on nostalgia for a single film from 36 years prior. Yet, this became its greatest strength. While its competitors offered fantasy, Maverick offered a potent, tangible reality. The audience's response was overwhelming, making it one of the all-time great fan favorites. They were hungry for something different, and the grounded, emotionally resonant story of Maverick and Rooster provided the perfect counter-programming. This strategic positioning is central to our box office breakdown of its success. When looking for similar movies, audiences often point to other legacy sequels that successfully revitalized a franchise. Films like Creed and Star Wars: The Force Awakens are excellent comparisons. Both films introduced a new generation of characters while paying respectful homage to the originals, a formula Top Gun. Maverick executed to perfection. Creed explored the legacy of Rocky Balboa through the eyes of Apollo Creed's son, creating a powerful story about living up to a father's name, a theme that directly mirrors conflict between Rooster and Maverick. The Force Awakens masterfully blended new heroes with returning icons like Han Solo and Leia Organa, tapping into a deep well of nostalgia to launch a new trilogy. Top Gun. Maverick learned from these successes, ensuring that the new pilots were compelling in their own right, while giving legacy characters meaningful, emotionally impactful roles. This careful balancing act is a critical insight in any full movie explained analysis, demonstrating that the film's triumph wasn't an accident, but the result of studying what made other modern fan favorites connect so deeply with viewers. From a financial perspective, entering this crowded marketplace was a high-stakes gamble that required a shrewd analysis of the film's potential market position. The studio's strategic team would have developed a detailed market share projection, essentially asking, in a summer with Marvel and Jurassic Park, how much of the box office pie can we realistically capture? Initially, that projection was likely modest. The primary target was the older male demographic who grew up with the original, a valuable but limited slice of the market. The significant threat was the saturation risk assessment. With two other billion-dollar potential films sucking up all the oxygen and marketing dollars, the risk of Top Gun, Maverick getting lost in the shuffle was incredibly high. The market was saturated, and audience fatigue was a real concern. To understand how Maverick defied these projections, we must look at the comparative revenue and performance of its rivals. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, produced for an estimated $200 million, grossed a massive $955 million worldwide. Jurassic World Dominion, with a budget around $185 million, roared to just over $1 billion. These are fantastic numbers and set incredibly high ROI benchmarks for the summer. The typical genre ROI average for a blockbuster of this scale is considered a success if it hits a 2.5x to 3x multiplier of its production budget. Both Doctor Strange and Jurassic World fell squarely within this successful range. Key stat, Top Gun, Maverick with its $170 million budget didn't just meet this benchmark. It obliterated it, achieving an 8.7x multiplier from its theatrical gross alone. This phenomenal outcome was a result of it systematically dismantling its initial market share projection. The film didn't just capture its target demographic, it captured everyone. Positive word-of-mouth, rave reviews, and its unique, non-CGI spectacle created a cultural moment that drew in younger audiences, female viewers, and repeat customers. This broad appeal was the ultimate weapon against market saturation. The saturation risk assessment had failed to account for the audience's hunger for something tangibly real, and by providing it, Top Gun. Maverick didn't just compete for market share, it expanded the entire market, becoming the must-see movie of the year. The financial success of Top Gun, Maverick wasn't just built on a clever marketing campaign or a perfectly assembled cast. It was built on a story and a visual language that were meticulously engineered to deliver an unparalleled cinematic experience. To fully understand its market dominance, we must perform a detailed movie breakdown of its narrative and the groundbreaking techniques used to bring that story to life. This is the full movie explained, from the screenplay's first page to the final, breathtaking frame. Our Top Gun, Maverick 2022, story breakdown begins with a sequence that instantly reestablishes the core of its protagonist. We find Captain Pete, Maverick Mitchell, where he's most comfortable, on the edge of oblivion, serving as a test pilot for a top-secret hypersonic jet called the Dark Star. This opening serves as a microcosm of the entire film's movie themes: Maverick against the machine, the human element versus an automated future. His superior, Rear Admiral Kane, played with icy authority by Ed Harris, is there to shut the program down in favor of unmanned drones. In a classic act of rebellion, Maverick defies orders, takes the Dark Star up, and pushes it past its Mach 10 limit, proving the value of a pilot in the cockpit before the prototype disintegrates in the upper atmosphere. This is our first iconic scene explained. It's not just about speed. It's a powerful statement of purpose that sets the stakes for the entire narrative breakdown. While not directly inspired by a true story, the Dark Star project mirrors real-world advancements in hypersonic technology, grounding the film's sci-fi opening in a believable reality. This act of insubordination should have ended his career, but an unseen hand saves him. His old rival turned lifelong friend, Admiral Tom Iceman Kazansky, now the commander of the U.S. Pacific Fleet. Maverick is sent back to where it all began, TOPGUN, at NAS North Island in San Diego, one of the key filming locations that adds authenticity to the film. His new mission is not to fly, but to teach. He must train a detachment of the Navy's most elite recent graduates for a mission deemed virtually impossible. Destroy an unsanctioned uranium enrichment plant nestled deep within a mountain canyon in an unnamed enemy state. The screenplay analysis here reveals a classic structure, similar to heist films like Ocean's 11 or war films like The Dirty Dozen. We are presented with an impossible objective, a team of specialists, and a ticking clock. The genre is a masterful blend of military action, character drama, and even sports movie tropes, as the pilots compete to see who will fly the final mission. The central conflict of the film is immediately established when Maverick comes face to face with his students. Among them is Lieutenant Bradley Rooster Bradshaw, played by Miles Teller. Rooster is the son of Maverick's late RIO, Goose, whose death in the original film has haunted Maverick for over 30 years. The tension between them is the emotional engine of the entire plot. We learn that Maverick, at the request of Rooster's dying mother, pulled his application to the Naval Academy, setting his career back by years. Maverick did it out of a misguided sense of protection, but Rooster sees it as a betrayal, the man responsible for his father's death, also sabotaging his future. This deeply personal conflict gives the high-stakes mission an even greater emotional weight. This is a core element of our Top Gun. Maverick, 2022, plot summary. The film's second act is dedicated to the grueling training process, and it's here that the cinematography and visual effects become the star. Director Joseph Kosinski and cinematographer Claudio Miranda made the revolutionary decision to place 6 IMAX-certified cameras inside the cockpits of real FA-18 Super Hornets. This brings us to the behind-the-scenes magic of the film. The actors aren't reacting to a green screen, they are genuinely experiencing the crushing G-forces of high-performance flight. When you see their faces distort during a high-G turn, that's real. This commitment to practical effects provides a level of immersion that a CGI breakdown of a rival film simply cannot match. The visual style is defined by its kinetic, tangible reality. One of the most memorable scenes from the training is when Maverick, frustrated by his students' inability to grasp the danger, demonstrates the mission profile himself. He flies the simulated course in a time the other pilots thought impossible, pulling an incredible 9 GS in the final climb. This is another iconic scene explained. It's the moment Maverick sheds the title of teacher and reclaims his status as a legend, earning the grudging respect of his entire team, including Rooster. The sequence is a masterclass in visual storytelling, intercutting between the breathtaking external shots of the jet screaming through the canyon and the intense, claustrophobic shots from inside the cockpit, showing the physical toll the flight takes on Maverick. The emotional turning point of the film comes during Maverick's visit with a terminally ill Iceman. In a scene of profound emotional weight, Iceman, communicating through a computer due to his throat cancer, urges Maverick to let go of his guilt over Goose's death and to protect Rooster. "The Navy needs Maverick," he types, reminding his friend that his unique brand of rule-bending genius is what will get these pilots home. This scene gives Maverick the emotional clearance he needs to fully commit to leading the mission and mending his relationship with Rooster. It's a quiet, powerful moment that provides the necessary heart amidst all the high-octane action, a crucial beat in this full movie explained. As the second act closes, Maverick has his team, he has their respect, and he has his purpose. But the final mission, with its impossible parameters and the looming threat of fifth-generation enemy fighters, is yet to come, leaving the audience on the edge of their seats. Spoilers will be coming, but the setup for the final act is a masterwork of tension and character development. From an investor's perspective, the story and its visual execution represent the single largest block of the initial capital investment, and analyzing its financial mechanics is crucial. The process begins with the script development cost. For a sequel to a beloved IP like Top Gun, this is not a simple expense. While a writer might be paid a fee based on WGA scale, which could be a few $100,000, the reality for a project of this magnitude involves multiple writers, uncredited script doctors, Christopher McQuarrie, a frequent Tom Cruise collaborator, was heavily involved and years of story meetings. The all-in script acquisition cost, including these extensive revisions, is conservatively estimated to be in the $2.5 million range. This initial investment is the foundation upon which the entire $170 million production is built. The screenplay itself presented a significant degree of creative risk. The core premise, a 36-year-old sequel in an era dominated by interconnected universes, was a dangerous bet on nostalgia. Would audiences still care about this character? To mitigate this, the script was brilliantly engineered with a classic, almost archetypal structure that is proven to resonate with audiences. It's a sports movie, a war movie, and a redemption story all in one. This simple, powerful narrative framework was a key financial decision, as it lowered the conceptual risk and created a story that was universally accessible. The resulting risk-return ratio on the story itself was therefore favorable. The studio wasn't betting on a complex, untested idea, but on a flawless execution of a timeless formula. Where the financial gamble truly escalated was in the visual execution. While the film is praised for its practical effects, it still contains a significant amount of visual effects work. The enemy's fifth-generation fighters, the Darkstar hypersonic jet, missile trails, and explosions all required state-of-the-art CGI. We can estimate that the VFX budget likely consumed between $40 to $50 million, or roughly 25–30% of the total production budget. While this is a massive number, it represents incredible production efficiency compared to a film like Avengers Endgame, where VFX can account for over 50% of the budget. The ROI versus visual complexity for Maverick is off the charts. The filmmakers made a brilliant decision in terms of capital allocation efficiency. They spent their money on the tangible, in-camera action that provided the film's unique selling proposition. The investment in renting FA-18s at over $11,000 per hour, per jet, and developing new camera technology was immense, but it paid off by creating a product that felt more real and valuable than its CGI-heavy competitors. This strategic production spending created a superior product with a higher perceived value, which directly translated into more tickets sold and a much healthier final risk-return ratio for the entire project. The story was a safe bet. The decision to film it for real was the high-risk, high-reward move that ultimately secured its legendary financial success. The natural question that arises from this entire Maverick method is one that dominates fan discussions. How much of Top Gun Maverick is real? This is the single most searched query related to the film's production, and it deserves a full movie breakdown. The answer is a fascinating hybrid of reality and movie magic. For the behind-the-scenes story, it's crucial to understand that while the actors were genuinely in the cockpits of FA-18 Super Hornets, they were not actually flying the jets. Each aircraft was piloted by a real U.S. Navy Top Gun pilot from the back seat, while the actors performed in the front. This leads to the next big search query. Did the cast really fly? No, but they were subjected to the very real and punishing G-forces, which is what gives the performances their incredible, gut-wrenching authenticity. The production's commitment to realism was absolute, pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible in aerial cinematography. Another major topic of fan interest, and a key part of any behind-the-scenes analysis, is the list of planes in Top Gun Maverick. The hero aircraft is, of course, the FA-18 Super Hornet, the Navy's frontline carrier-based fighter. But the film is a love letter to aviation, and the hangar is full of iconic hardware. We see the legendary F-14 Tomcat, the very plane Maverick flew in the original, make a dramatic return. This was a huge moment for fans, sparking searches for F-14 in Top Gun Maverick. The production had to secure a museum piece from the San Diego Air and Space Museum for these scenes, as the F-14 has been retired from active service for years. And of course, there is the mysterious hypersonic jet, the Darkstar, featured in the opening sequence. This plane was so realistically designed, with help from Lockheed Martin's legendary Skunk Works division, that it allegedly caused a Chinese satellite to reroute to get a closer look, believing it was a real, secret prototype. Finally, a complete movie breakdown of the production must address the Top Gun Maverick cast training. This wasn't a week of acting classes. It was a grueling, 3-month cruise boot camp. The actors had to learn everything from naval survival at sea to mastering the new cockpit camera systems, they would have to operate themselves. This intense preparation is why the iconic scenes explained in this film feel so different. When you see Miles Teller's face contorting under 7GS, that is not CGI. That's a real human being at the edge of their physical limits. Understanding the Top Gun Maverick cast training is essential to appreciating the final product. It wasn't just a film shoot, it was an expedition. This commitment to verisimilitude is what separates the film from its competitors and answers the core question, how much of Top Gun Maverick is real? The answer is more than you can possibly imagine, and that reality is what made it a billion-dollar masterpiece. That masterful screenplay and its groundbreaking visual execution delivered the audience to the precipice of the final act, a third act that would go on to become one of the most thrilling and emotionally satisfying conclusions in modern blockbuster history. Now we dive into the secrets of the film's climax. This is the ultimate Top Gun, Maverick 2022, ending explained. And be warned from this point forward, this analysis is full of major Top Gun Maverick 2022 spoilers. If you haven't seen the film, this is your final chance to turn back. The mission begins with Maverick leading the strike package, flying the lead FA-18 with Rooster as his wingman. The first part of the finale is a masterclass in tension, as the team executes the seemingly impossible canyon run and low-level bombing, hitting their target precisely. This is miracle number one. But the true challenge was always the exit. During the impossibly steep vertical climb out of the target zone, the squadron is swarmed by surface-to-air missiles. Maverick, seeing Rooster's aircraft struggling to deploy countermeasures, makes a fateful choice. In a direct echo of how his own father, Duke Mitchell, died saving a fellow pilot, Maverick draws the final missile to his own jet, saving Rooster but taking the hit himself. His plane is destroyed and he is presumed killed in action. This is the first major point in our Top Gun Maverick 2022 ending explained analysis. On the carrier, the command staff watches Maverick's signal disappear from their screens. But Rooster, seeing Maverick's parachute on the ground, makes his own fateful choice. He disobeys a direct order from Cyclone to return to the carrier and turns back to save his mentor. This is the cathartic moment the entire film has been building toward. Rooster is no longer the cautious boy held back by fear. He is his father's son, a pilot willing to risk everything for a teammate. He provides air cover for Maverick but is quickly shot down himself by an enemy helicopter. This is miracle number two. They both survive their crashes and reunite on the ground, the decades of animosity and unspoken grief melting away in a shared moment of survival. The hatchet is buried. This leads us to one of the most prominent Top Gun Maverick 2022 fan theories, often called the death dream theory. This theory posits that Maverick actually died when the Dark Star disintegrated in the opening scene, and the entire film that follows is his dying fantasy of reconciliation and redemption. Proponents of this theory point to the almost fairy-tale-like perfection of the subsequent events. He gets to train Goose's son, he mends that broken relationship, he finds love with Penny Benjamin, and he pulls off an impossible mission. The final act, especially, feels like a pilot's ultimate fantasy. The fact that the enemy base they stumble upon just happens to have a fully fueled, museum-quality F-14 Tomcat, the very plane Maverick flew in the original film, feels almost too good to be true. This part of the climax almost feels like a twist ending in itself, a moment of pure cinematic wish fulfillment. While this is one of the more popular Top Gun Maverick 2022 fan theories, the filmmakers have essentially debunked it, and for good reason. Believing the story is a dream robs the character arcs, especially Rooster's, of their emotional power and meaning. The beauty of the story is that these miracles are real within the film's world. Continuing with our Top Gun Maverick 2022 ending explained, Maverick and Rooster steal the F-14, a plane with no stealth capabilities and outdated weapons. What follows is an incredible dogfight sequence, a piece of pure aerial poetry. Maverick, the analog pilot, is in his element, flying the older, more manually demanding aircraft against two technologically superior fifth-generation enemy fighters. He uses his experience and the F-14's unique variable sweep wings to outmaneuver the enemy in a close-quarters battle, a thrilling sequence that proves the pilot matters more than the plane. They manage to shoot down both enemy fighters but find themselves out of ammo and defensive flares, with a third enemy jet moving in for the kill. Just when all seems lost, a missile streaks past their canopy and destroys the enemy. It's Hangman, who also disobeyed orders to come back and save the day. This completes his character arc, transforming him from an arrogant loner into a true wingman. The final sequence sees Maverick and Rooster attempting a dangerous landing back on the aircraft carrier in the heavily damaged F-14, a landing they barely survive. They are greeted as heroes, and the celebration in the hangar is a moment of pure triumph. Cyclone, the by-the-book admiral, shakes Maverick's hand, signifying that Maverick has finally earned the respect of the institution he has so often fought against. More importantly, Rooster and Maverick share a look of mutual respect and understanding. The debt is paid. The guilt is gone. The Top Gun, Maverick 2022, ending explained isn't just about a successful mission. It's about Maverick finally, after 36 years, letting go of the past. The film doesn't feature a post-credit scene, a deliberate choice to provide a complete, emotionally resonant conclusion rather than immediately tease what's next. The final shot of the film sees Maverick and Penny working on his vintage P-51 Mustang before flying off into the sunset together. He has found peace, a partner, and a reason to stay on the ground. This perfect ending, however, is precisely what fuels speculation about sequels and a potential universe expansion. While Maverick's story feels complete, the world of TOPGUN has been revitalized. Rumored plotlines for a Top Gun 3 are already circulating among fans. The most obvious path forward is to focus on the new generation of pilots. Rooster, Hangman, Phoenix, and Bob are now a battle-tested team of aces. A sequel could see them facing a new global crisis, perhaps one that directly involves the drone technology that Maverick so fiercely resisted, forcing them to once again prove the value of the human pilot. Maverick could return, not as the lead, but in a mentor role, stepping into the position Iceman once held for him. This would be a natural and respectful way to continue the story, turning Top Gun from a solo story into a multi-generational saga. The potential for sequels is immense, as the ending provides a perfect passing of the torch, leaving fans eager to see where these new characters fly next. The lack of a post-credit scene was a classy move, but the door for a universe expansion was left wide open. From a purely financial standpoint, the ending of Top Gun, Maverick is not a conclusion. It is an ignition sequence for long-term value creation. The narrative choices made in the final act are a masterclass in maximizing the future financial potential of the intellectual property. First, let's assign a sequel potential score. Based on the ending, the score is unequivocally high. The key reasons are twofold. First, it successfully introduced and validated a new, charismatic ensemble cast that audiences have embraced. Miles Teller's Rooster and Glenn Powell's Hangman are not just supporting characters, they are viable leads for future installments. Second, by giving Maverick a peaceful, satisfying conclusion, but keeping him alive, the ending provides the ultimate optionality. He can return in a supporting capacity, lending his star power and legacy to future films without having to carry the entire narrative burden. This dramatically lowers the risk-return ratio of a sequel, as the studio isn't forced to build from scratch. They have a proven, beloved foundation. This leads directly to the concept of IP lifecycle value. The original Top Gun was a static asset for over 3 decades, a classic film with a fixed value. The ending of Maverick transforms this asset into a dynamic, high-growth franchise. The estimated increase to the franchise IP worth is monumental. Before Maverick, the Top Gun IP might have had a valuation in the low hundreds of millions, primarily driven by library licensing. After the film's success, and specifically because its ending creates a viable path forward, the total IP valuation has likely skyrocketed into the billions. Key stat: the storytelling choices in the final act arguably added an estimated $1.5 to $2 billion in long-term potential value to the Top Gun IP by turning it from a legacy property into a bankable, multi-generational franchise. This enhanced franchise IP worth opens up a clear franchise roadmap for Paramount, built around diversified content monetization streams. 1. Theatrical sequels. This is the core engine of profitability. A Top Gun 3, focusing on Rooster and Hangman, could be greenlit with a budget north of $200 million. Given the proven audience appetite, its box office projections would conservatively start in the $1 billion range. The franchise profitability based on story trends is incredibly strong. as the themes of teamwork, individual heroism, and aerial combat have proven to be globally resonant. 2. Streaming universe expansion. The most logical next step is a high-budget series for Paramount+. A show titled TOPGUN, following the day-to-day lives, rivalries, and training of pilots at the Academy, could serve as a powerful tool for subscriber acquisition and retention. This provides a steady stream of content monetization and keeps the IP fresh in the public consciousness between theatrical releases. 3. Ancillary revenue streams. The ending, by creating a new roster of hero pilots, unlocks a treasure trove of merchandising and licensing opportunities. This includes everything from new flight simulator video games and action figures to high-end apparel partnerships with brands like Aviator Nation. Each of these streams contributes to the overall IP lifecycle value and strengthens the brand's cultural footprint. Ultimately, the ending of Top Gun: Maverick was the single most important financial event for the property. It didn't just wrap up a story, it created a future. By perfectly balancing nostalgic resolution with forward-looking setup, the filmmakers provided Paramount with a golden goose, a revitalized IP with a clear and immensely profitable path forward, fundamentally reshaping the long-term franchise equity valuation for decades to come. The final flight of Maverick and Penny wasn't an ending. It was the beginning of a multi-billion-dollar empire. That multi-billion-dollar empire isn't just built on future box office receipts. It's built on a powerful, immediate connection with the audience. The cultural shockwave created by Top Gun: Maverick ignited a level of fan passion that extends far beyond the movie theater, translating directly into a thriving ecosystem of merchandise and deep, sustained fan engagement. This is a critical component of our movie breakdown, as it represents the conversion of cultural capital into tangible revenue. The groundswell of fan engagement for Top Gun: Maverick was remarkable for a non-fantasy, non-superhero film. It wasn't driven by lore videos or deep-cut Easter eggs, but by an appreciation for the film's aesthetic and its core themes of excellence and camaraderie. Social media campaigns were flooded with organic, user-generated content. On TikTok and Instagram, viral trends emerged, with users creating edits set to the film's iconic soundtrack or even participating in flight simulator challenges. The practical filmmaking, a key part of the behind-the-scenes narrative, fueled this engagement. Fans were fascinated by the real G-forces the actors endured, sharing clips of their training and interviews, which in turn drove more interest in the film. This organic buzz also led to a surge in incredible fan art, with artists capturing the intensity of the aerial combat and the quiet, emotional moments between characters like Maverick and Rooster. This intense fan passion created a ravenous demand for official merchandise. Paramount's strategy was brilliant because it catered to two distinct tiers of consumers. For the mass market, they offered accessible items like graphic tees, featuring the iconic TOPGUN logo, movie posters, and die-cast models of the FA-18 and the classic F-14. But the real genius was in tapping into the high-end market for movie collectibles and apparel. They leaned heavily into the film's authentic military aesthetic. Themed apparel like flight jackets and aviator sunglasses weren't just costumes. They became legitimate fashion statements. This created a level of merchandise hype rarely seen outside of a franchise like James Bond. Fans didn't just want to watch Maverick, they wanted to be Maverick. This aspiration drove sales of high-ticket items, blurring the line between merchandise and lifestyle branding. The new characters also opened up possibilities for a new line of action figures, allowing the franchise to compete on the toy aisle in a way the original film never could. From casual cosplay at fan conventions to everyday fashion, the film's visual identity became its most powerful merchandising tool. From an investor's standpoint, this groundswell of fan passion is not just a cultural phenomenon. It's a high-margin revenue stream waiting to be tapped. The business of official merchandise operates primarily on a model of licensing and royalties. Paramount doesn't manufacture the jackets or toys itself. It licenses the Top Gun IP to third-party companies and collects a licensed product royalty on every single item sold. This is an incredibly efficient, low-overhead business. The studio typically earns a royalty rate of 8% to 15% on the wholesale price of the merchandise. For a cultural touchstone like Top Gun: Maverick, these royalties represent a significant source of ancillary revenue. The most powerful financial engine behind this strategy is the concept of fan-driven ROI. The organic buzz, the viral trends, and the fan art all act as a massive, free marketing campaign for the merchandise. When a fan posts a picture wearing an official bomber jacket, they are creating an advertisement with a level of authenticity that a studio's marketing department could never buy. This dramatically increases the merchandise ROI because the cost of customer acquisition is virtually zero. The fans are selling the product to each other. We can project that sales for themed apparel alone could easily generate over $100 million in retail revenue, which would translate into a pure, high-margin licensed product royalty of $815 million for the studio. This model is amplified through strategic retail partnerships. Securing deals with giants like Amazon, Target, and specialty retailers ensures that the products are widely available to meet the demand created by the film's success. These partnerships are crucial for maximizing the projected sales across all categories. This entire strategy is a perfect example of revenue diversification, ensuring that the film's profitability is not solely dependent on box office performance. By converting the on-screen spectacle into desirable real-world products, the studio leverages its core asset, the IP, to create a continuous and highly profitable stream of licensing income, all powered by an incredible fan-driven ROI. That powerful fan engagement and merchandising machine is one side of the coin. The other is the validation from the industry itself. A film can be a financial success without critical love, but when a blockbuster achieves both, it becomes something more. A cultural landmark. The critical reception for Top Gun, Maverick was not just positive, it was euphoric, cementing its status as a modern classic. From Oscars nominations for its outstanding craftsmanship to Golden Globe wins that sparked massive awards buzz, Top Gun. Maverick's critical acclaim rivals any competitor's film festival highlights, earning a stellar Rotten Tomatoes score and glowing audience ratings across all streaming platforms. Let's start with that crucial metric. The Rotten Tomatoes score. The film sits at a stunning 96% from critics, a figure almost unheard of for a legacy action sequel. This wasn't just critics enjoying a fun summer movie. This was a wave of effusive praise, celebrating the film's incredible technical achievements, its surprisingly resonant emotional core, and its unapologetic commitment to pure, exhilarating cinema. The critic reviews were filled with words like masterpiece, triumphant, and the perfect blockbuster. Many celebrated it as a film that single-handedly revitalized the theatrical experience after the pandemic. Even more remarkably, the audience scores were in perfect lockstep, with a near-perfect 99% on Rotten Tomatoes and consistently high audience ratings across platforms like IMDb and Letterboxd. This near-universal alignment between critics and viewers is exceptionally rare. Often, there's a disconnect, where critics might dismiss a film that audiences love or praise an art house film that fails to connect with the mainstream. The fact that Top Gun, Maverick united both camps is a key part of this movie breakdown. It signifies a film that is not only exceptionally well made from a craft perspective, but also delivers a deeply satisfying and emotionally cathartic experience for the general public. This wave of acclaim started early. The film's premiere at the Cannes Film Festival, one of the most prestigious festivals in the world, was a sensation, earning a 5-minute standing ovation and setting the stage for the awards buzz to come. As awards season ramped up, the conversation around Top Gun, Maverick shifted. It went from being a successful blockbuster to a legitimate contender for major awards. The film received 6 Oscars nominations, including the coveted Best Picture nomination, a significant achievement that placed it alongside the year's most celebrated dramas. It ultimately took home the Oscar for Best Sound, a well-deserved win that recognized the film's groundbreaking audio design, which was integral to its immersive power. This level of recognition from the Academy and other bodies like the Golden Globes solidified its place in cinema history, making it not just a top-rated movie, but an award-winning one. From a financial perspective, a cabinet full of awards is more than just a testament to artistic achievement. It's a high-powered asset that can significantly amplify a film's long-term profitability. This is where we analyze the financial impact of all that acclaim. First, studios must invest in an award campaign cost. A serious for your consideration campaign for the Oscars, involving screenings, events, and advertising, can cost anywhere from $5 million to over $15 million. While this is a significant expense, its potential return is enormous. This brings us to our first core theme, the ROI multiplier. A major award nomination, especially for Best Picture, can trigger a significant post-award revenue boost. For a film already in theaters, this can mean a 15–20% bump in box office receipts in the weeks following the nomination. For Top Gun, Maverick, which was already a juggernaut, this translated into extended theatrical play and a huge surge in premium video-on-demand sales. Second, and perhaps more importantly, is the long-term value created by the critical acclaim multiplier. This is where prestige pricing comes into play. A film branded as a Best Picture nominee has a permanent stamp of quality. This allows the studio to command higher licensing fees in streaming monetization deals for years or even decades to come. Airlines will pay more to feature it, and international broadcasters will bid higher for the rights. That Oscar win for Best Sound isn't just a trophy. It's a bargaining chip in every future negotiation, a permanent ROI multiplier on the film's library value. The critical acclaim transforms the movie from a disposable blockbuster into a durable, high-value asset. That critical acclaim acts as a formal seal of approval, but a film's true legacy is often written in the language of the internet. Memes, viral clips, and endless fan discussions. The cultural impact of Top Gun, Maverick went far beyond its box office numbers, embedding itself into the pop culture conversation in a way that few films ever manage. From meme references of its most iconic scene to viral fan clips that sparked massive social media reactions, Top Gun, Maverick's cultural impact rivals any competitor's pop culture influence, creating fan engagement that lives on through TikTok clips and Reddit theories. One of the biggest viral moments came from a seemingly simple scene, the beach football sequence. A clear homage to the iconic volleyball scene from the original, this moment became an instant internet sensation. TikTok clips featuring the scene set to OneRepublic's "I Ain't Worried" went hyperviral, spawning a global trend. This wasn't a studio-pushed campaign. It was organic, fan-driven content that introduced the film's aesthetic and characters to a younger generation that may have never seen the original. Beyond the memes, the film also sparked a renewed interest in aviation and the military. Fun facts about the real TOPGUN program and the FA-18 Super Hornet became popular topics of discussion. Behind-the-scenes featurettes showing the actors' intense flight training were shared millions of times, further blurring the line between the film's fiction and its incredible reality. The fan reactions weren't just about the action. They were deeply invested in the characters. Deep dives into the psychology of Maverick's journey and endless fan theories about the future of Rooster and Hangman populated forums on Reddit. Even small details became points of interest, with fans searching for Easter eggs explained videos to catch every subtle nod to the 1986 classic. This sustained, multifaceted conversation is the hallmark of a true cultural event. From a financial perspective, this type of organic cultural traction is priceless. The viral moments on TikTok and other platforms represent a massive, unpaid media campaign, generating an incredible viral marketing ROI. Each fan-created video is an advertisement that costs the studio nothing. This high level of organic buzz directly translates into engagement-driven revenue, as it keeps the film at the top of the cultural conversation, driving both ticket sales and streaming views long after the initial marketing push has ended. Furthermore, this intense relevance creates a significant CPM uplift from engagement, making any official social media content related to the film more valuable to advertisers. This cultural dominance also increases the film's brand partnership value, making the Top Gun IP a highly attractive partner for collaborations, which in turn creates a higher IP licensing premium for all future deals. That cultural footprint, a deep and lasting mark on the pop culture landscape, is the final piece of the puzzle. It ensures that Top Gun, Maverick isn't just a film but a phenomenon. And as with any phenomenon, the conversation inevitably turns from what it was to what it will become. This brings us to the final chapter of our analysis, the legacy of the film and the vast, lucrative future that lies ahead. As Top Gun, Maverick 2022 cements its film legacy with franchise potential that rivals any competitor's universe expansion. Fans speculate on sequels and spin-off ideas, while the director's next projects and upcoming movies hint at a thrilling future. The franchise potential for Top Gun is no longer a question of if, but how. The film's conclusion, as we detailed in our Ending Explained section, was a perfect launchpad. It gave Maverick a satisfying arc, while simultaneously introducing a new squadron of compelling, charismatic pilots that audiences are eager to see more of. This sets the stage for a clear franchise roadmap that could extend for another generation. The most anticipated of these future projects are, of course, the potential sequels. Fan anticipation is at a fever pitch for a Top Gun 3. Rumored plotlines are already all over the internet. One popular theory suggests the next film will focus on the new team, led by Rooster and Hangman, as they are forced to confront the very drone technology that Maverick rallied against. This would create a compelling man versus machine narrative and allow the franchise to explore the future of aerial combat. Another fan-favorite idea is a mission that takes the team into a new domain, perhaps naval aviation in the Arctic, or a conflict that involves space-based assets, pushing the boundaries of the universe expansion. Whatever the plot, the key to successful sequels will be maintaining the franchise's core appeal. Practical effects, compelling character drama, and a deep respect for the real-world pilots they portray. Beyond a direct sequel, the potential for spin-off ideas is equally exciting. Imagine a high-budget streaming series for Paramount Plus titled TOPGUN, Legacy, which could function as an anthology, with each season focusing on a different legendary pilot from the Academy's past. This would allow for a deeper dive into the world's lore without needing the massive budget of a feature film. Another one of the more interesting spin-off ideas is a film focused on the enemy pilots. The deliberate anonymity of Maverick's adversaries in the film creates a blank canvas. A spin-off from their perspective, in the vein of a film like Clint Eastwood's Letters from Iwo Jima, could be a bold and critically acclaimed addition to the universe. The creative team's future also fuels speculation. While Tom Cruise's next projects are dominated by the Mission Impossible series, director Joseph Kosinski has several upcoming movies in development, including a Formula One racing film with Brad Pitt that promises to use the same in-camera, practical filmmaking techniques that made Maverick so successful. His involvement in any future Top Gun project would be a major signal of quality to fans. This entire ecosystem of possibilities, from direct sequels to ambitious spin-off ideas and the careers of its creators, forms the foundation of Top Gun. Maverick's enduring film legacy. It's no longer just a sequel. It's the beginning of a cinematic dynasty, and this detailed movie breakdown shows just how strong that foundation is. From a financial perspective, this is where we transition from analyzing a single, successful product to evaluating a multi-billion-dollar portfolio. The legacy of Top Gun. Maverick is not just its box office gross. It is the creation of a high-growth, long-term asset for Paramount Global. This final section is our cumulative yield analysis, projecting the total financial power of this revitalized IP. The core of this analysis is the concept of the long-term franchise ROI. The initial investment of roughly $350 million, production plus P&A, has already generated a theatrical return multiple of nearly 4x. But that is just the beginning. Each subsequent project acts as an ROI multiplier. A direct sequel, Top Gun 3, would carry a significant sequel investment risk. Budgets for sequels tend to inflate, and there's always the risk of failing to recapture the magic. However, the risk is mitigated by the established audience and brand equity. Key stat: a successful sequel for a franchise of this caliber can be expected to generate a 3x-5x ROI on its own budget, while simultaneously lifting the value of the entire back catalog. A conservative cumulative revenue forecast for a trilogy of films, including all ancillary streams, could easily top $5 billion over the next decade. This brings us to the ultimate valuation metric, the IP lifecycle value. This is the total estimated monetary worth of the Top Gun brand across all possible monetization channels for the foreseeable future. This includes theatrical releases, streaming rights, merchandise, video games, and even potential theme park attractions. Before Maverick, this value was modest. After Maverick, the IP lifecycle value has likely exploded into the $3 to $5 billion range, placing it in the same league as other major, non-superhero franchises. This is the ultimate ROI multiplier. The initial investment didn't just produce a profitable film. It transformed a dormant IP into a cornerstone asset for the entire company. Our final cumulative yield analysis must also consider the efficiency of this model. Unlike sprawling cinematic universes that require constant content and carry the risk of audience fatigue, the Top Gun franchise can operate on a more event-driven model, similar to James Bond. Releasing a new installment every 3 to 5 years maintains a high level of anticipation and premium value. Each release acts as a powerful ROI multiplier, reactivating interest in the entire catalog and driving new waves of merchandising and licensing. This creates a highly profitable, sustainable cycle of legacy revenue streams. In conclusion, the story of Top Gun, Maverick is one of the most remarkable financial success stories in modern Hollywood. It was a triumph of strategic patience, a masterclass in practical filmmaking, and a testament to the enduring power of a single movie star. But from an investor's perspective, its greatest achievement was the profound and permanent enhancement of its core intellectual property. Through our comprehensive cumulative yield analysis, we see a film that didn't just earn back its investment. It multiplied it, creating a durable, high-growth franchise that will continue to deliver substantial returns for shareholders for years to come. It proved that sometimes, the old ways are still the best ways, and that a perfectly executed story, delivered with passion and authenticity, is the most powerful ROI multiplier of all.
If you enjoyed this financial dissection, be sure to subscribe to Screen Profits. We are your definitive source for the most in-depth box office analysis and financial reports on modern hits. What last 10-year movie should we break down next? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you for the next financial report.